Hi everyone, thank you for watching this video. My name is Elise Garrick and I am the Health and Wellness Coordinator with GBS Benefits. Today we're going to be talking about how to disconnect to connect. So talking more about taking some time away from technology, from screens, from social media in order to connect with what's around us, connect with the present, revamp our relationships, giving our brain a break from the stimulation of the screens, all of those things. So let's talk about briefly our agenda. First, we're going to talk about why disconnecting is important. Then we'll talk about work-life balance tips as well as home-life balance tips. And then lastly, we'll talk about digital detox, how that can be beneficial. We'll go through some things that you can download and use for yourself in your daily life. And hopefully at the end of this presentation, you'll have some ideas on how you can apply this to your life and how you can seek some of these benefits that we'll talk about. So first, why is it important that we disconnect every once in a while? The problem. The average American spends about 12 hours a day in front of a TV or computer screens. That's just with the nature of how things are now. A lot of people work on a computer, maybe 8 hours a day in front of a computer screen. And then when they come home, we often try to relax and unwind by watching our favorite show or whatever it is. And then sometimes when we go to sleep, we even turn on our sound machines. We're constantly being exposed to some type of technology, some type of stimulus. And that's not always great because it can lead to a lot of different things like inactivity, insomnia, vision troubles, inability to express empathy, as well as sometimes depression. Whereas unplugging every once in a while from technology can decrease stress, anxiety. It can also reduce feelings of loneliness and allows you to focus on the present. So let's talk about these in a little bit more detail. Again, screens consume a large amount of our personal and professional lives, and it's great because it can connect us with people who live in different states, different countries. It often gives us an opportunity to work from home. There are a lot of great benefits that come from using it, but we need to create some type of balance where we can experience both the pros as well as reduce the cons that come from using technology consistently. So one of the first things we're going to talk about is why and how it prevents feelings of isolation and comparison. Often with social media, people are posting, the best versions of themselves when they look and feel the best about themselves, when they're on vacation, when they buy a house, or these big events that they feel really great about. But we're not always seeing the day-to-day struggles or issues that people are experiencing. Most of the time, people aren't posting and sharing those things. And that can lead to some negative self-esteem issues when we compare, our regular day-to-day lives with other people's best versions of themselves. It can also create feelings of isolation when we spend too much time on the screens or social media scrolling. It can, mean that we're not getting the in-person, face-to-face contact that we as humans need. It also is continuously stimulating our brain as we're scrolling through pictures, as we're constantly exposed to the screens, the blue light, the movement that happens when we watch TV on the screens. Our brain is constantly getting stimulated. So taking a break is great for our brain just to have time to rest and relax. That also leads to improved sleep, which is the last point on this slide here. It allows us to get ready for sleep because our brain is able to calm down, rest and relax because we're not exposing it constantly to that blue light stimulation. It also can improve our communication skills. Usually when we're interacting through social media or even at work, when we're emailing, we have the opportunity to sit down, think about our message, type it out. We can backspace, we can edit, we can refine what we're saying before we send it off. But when we communicate with people face to face, obviously that is not the case. And so if we take a moment to disconnect, it can help improve those communication skills, which are really key in helping us create positive, happy relationships. And then also, if we take a moment to disconnect, it helps us live in the present, focus on what is happening right in front of us, and create really positive memories with our friends and with our family, and just with what's going on around us outside. We can really focus on our senses and create positive memories that way. So let's talk about some tips about work-life balance. This can be difficult, especially with the ability to take our work home. A lot of times people are able to work from home. They have a work phone, they have a work laptop. Technology is just becoming increasingly more accessible to people. So it's really important that we do a few things to create a proper work-life balance. One of those things is protecting your time. You know, no one else is going to do that for you. So if you need a 5-minute break, a 10-minute break, at certain intervals throughout the day, you need to make that happen for yourself, whether that's even blocking out that time on your calendar. Just make sure you're protecting your time. Again, you can also do that by blocking out time on your calendar for specific projects. If you easily get overwhelmed or you feel like you have a lot on your plate, it's nice to look at your schedule and say, this is when I'm going to be doing what, and then you don't have to feel pressured to do those things at home if you don't get them done while you're in the office or during work hours. The next thing here, a self-care cheat sheet. So this is just a simple, fun activity that you can do where you write down a list of things that you could do if you have 1 minute, or maybe you have a 5-minute break, maybe it's a 10-minute break, whatever it is. Make a list of things that you can do within that time period. So when that happens during the day and you say, okay, I have 5 minutes, you have your list already that you can go back and refer to and say, I'm going to do this thing to feel a little bit of self-care, to take care of myself, to rejuvenate during the day. And then you can kind of move forward feeling a little bit more ready to tackle some of the bigger projects that you have. And then the last tip is to turn off notifications if possible. If you can, when you get home, turn off your notifications, your work email, whatever it is, and revisit those things the next morning so that you can get a proper break and time to rest in between your work hours, your typical work hours. If that's not the case for you, if that's not possible, could you maybe do that even just during dinner with your family or during an hour or two during the night? Are there certain blocks that you can give yourself where you can turn off notifications and not think about the specific work obligations that you have? Let's also talk about home life balance, because while it is fun to spend a lot of time on our phones and on social media, and that can be fun to interact with other people, like we talked about, just spending that much time with that much brain stimulation can be really draining. So let's talk about some things that we can do. First is spend an hour of screen-free time before bed. We talked about why that's beneficial, how that improves your sleep. But if it's something that you actually need to do and set a goal for, this is something that takes preparation, it takes time to implement. So that might be something that you want to try doing this week. Also, schedule some screen time into your day. Now, that might sound counterintuitive because we're talking about disconnecting, but if you really feel like you need to spend a little bit of time, if it helps you just unwind for a minute, maybe you need to schedule 10 minutes, maybe it's an hour, whatever it is, that you're going to watch your favorite show when you get home, but then you're going to take a break from screens after that. And that's totally fine. You could also identify technology-free zones within your house. Maybe that's your dinner table or your bedroom, whatever it is. Maybe there's certain areas that you're not going to be using technology. You could also try to institute something called mindful mornings. This is just when you try to avoid picking up your phone first thing in the morning and scrolling, but instead try to be more mindful about your morning routine, doing things that you enjoy, waking up properly without the use of screens. Let's touch quickly on a digital detox. So this is just disconnecting from devices, apps, video games, whatever, things that steal our attention, and trying to focus on experiencing the real world and reconnecting with experiences that don't need a screen to be memorable. Some of the benefits from doing this include less stress, sharper focus, more time, and better social interactions. And a digital detox could be a lot of different things. It could be just completely disconnecting, not using social media at all. You're deleting the apps, you're deleting anything besides communicating with your phone. Or it could just be choosing one or two things that you're going to avoid for a week, for a month, whatever your goal is. And if you're curious if this is something that would benefit you, some signs that you might need a digital detox include you feel anxious or stressed out if you can't find your phone, you feel compelled to check your phone every few minutes, you feel depressed, anxious, or angry after spending time on social media, you are preoccupied with the like, comment, or reshare counts on your social posts, you're afraid that you'll miss something if you don't keep checking your device, you often find yourself staying up late or getting up early to play on your phone, and you have trouble concentrating on one thing without having to check your phone. So if that kind of sounds like anything you're experiencing, maybe considering a digital detox might be great. Here are some tips if this is something that you do want to accomplish. First, let your friends and family know so that they're not trying to share things with you through certain apps or social media if that's something you're trying to avoid, and just so they know how to contact you. Try to find ways to stay distracted and keep other activities on hand. That might be helpful. Deleting social media apps altogether might be a great way to avoid getting on those apps. Try getting out of the house, doing something outside, going shopping with friends, going on a walk, whatever it is. And also keep a journal to track your progress. Write down your thoughts and what you're experiencing. Maybe you're feeling less stressed. Maybe you're feeling happier. Write those things down so that you can really feel the benefits and acknowledge them for yourself. I also have this here. If you scan this QR code, you'll get this wildcard challenge. It's called Practicing Presence. And it's just a little easy, simple challenge that you can do to feel more present in the moment. It gives you some tips on how to focus on your surroundings, how to focus on your breathing, and it might be a fun activity that you want to try if you're not feeling completely up to doing a digital detox. This might be another good option. And lastly, let's talk shortly about goals. If you are feeling anxious, you're not able to sleep, if you're feeling depressed, whatever those cons that we talked about earlier that come from a lot of screen time and technology use. And if you want to try to make changes, the first step is creating a goal. Writing something down. What are you going to do differently because you are feeling this way? What changes do you want to make? And write that down, make it specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, give yourself a timeline, and see if you experience any of these benefits that I've talked about today. So in summary, again, limiting time spent on screens can be beneficial for a variety of reasons: better sleep, improved communication, less isolation or loneliness. Try to create a proper work-life balance by muting notifications, or creating that cheat sheet we talked about. Try to reduce your screen time at home, setting limits or setting technology-free zones. And then also, if you're feeling up to it, try a digital detox or the Practicing Presence wildcard challenge we talked about. Go back and scan that QR code and do something a little bit different to mix up your routine. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you do have any questions, feel free to email wellness@gbsbenefits.com and we'd be happy to help.